Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, February 11th, 2021. And my name is Michelle Gramoglia. I am the president and CEO here at Woodland Pond. First day back in the office after being out for a few for personal reasons. And I have a very important and sobering topic that I need to discuss with all of you right now. To start that, what I'd like everyone to do for me, please, is to stop for a moment, think for a moment about your life savings and your investment account or bank account. And then I want you to think about getting a phone call from that investment bank telling you that $400,000 has been stolen. That happened to your neighbor here at Woodland Pond. This was discovered within the last 48 hours. This is a resident of independent living. She did tell me that I can use her name, but I want to protect that because this will air on our YouTube channel. But you would know her because she walks a little dog and she always wears a quirky outfit and always has a huge smile. But now she's not smiling at all. She's absolutely devastated. Her entire life savings is gone. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, the New Paltz Police Department, and other authorities are investigating what is ultimately a scam. Your neighbor was scammed through a very sophisticated financial scam. And today is the day that we need to start talking about this very seriously and very frequently here at Woodland Pond, because as seniors, as retirees, as users of the internet and mail and cell phones and regular phones, you as our residents are the most at risk of being taken advantage of for any type of scam or fraud. We must take this seriously. You now have a neighbor that has lost everything. The information that has been reviewed by the authorities has made it very clear to this person that the chances of her assets being recovered are almost non-existent. This could not be more of a serious or devastating situation for your neighbor. There are so many ways that scammers are targeting not just you, not just our residents, but me and Christy and the people at the front desk and everyone. They are so sophisticated. We are going to be doing an education campaign that is going to include video content, written articles, warnings. We will be including in the Chanticleer on a regular basis now information that we receive about new or concerning scams. And we need every single person that is listening to this broadcast right now, whether it be a staff member or a family member or a resident, to please take to what I am saying so to heart. Every single one of us is at risk of being taken advantage of. Every single one of us has worked so hard for the assets that we have, and everyone is concerned about their financial position, their financial security, their physical security. We all have to take this risk so very seriously. And so Woodland Pond is going to do everything that we can to educate, to encourage, to support you in protecting your assets and yourself. We've talked at length in special programming, in written notifications about some of the more frequent scams and fraud type things that you potentially could encounter. We've talked endlessly about the fact that solicitations that come in the mail, for example, Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes and things like that, they should go right into the garbage. the chances of you winning anything are just about non-existent. Think about someone in your life that has called you or said or excitedly reported to you, I'm this close to getting a prize. They're going to come tomorrow. We're scheduling a date and I am a winner. And how many times have you actually seen that materialize? Probably none. Think about how many times you've heard myself, Christy, AARP, the Attorney General, tell you the IRS will never call you. The Social Security Administration will never call you. These agencies do not call you. You've heard it, you know it, and yet every single one of us gets a phone call from.
They're not broadcasting. None of the TVs are working. My mom just called me too, and the one in the pub.
Okay, it's still taping though, so I'm just going to keep going. Sorry, I guess it's not broadcasting, but we're still taping. So, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, but how many times have we said, again, these agencies are not going to call you and they are not going to ask for your information over the phone. That has not changed. There is no reputable agency, nothing above board that is going to call you and ask you for your credit card information. They're not going to call and ask you for your social security number, your date of birth. All of those should be considered fraud. Anyone that calls you and asks you for that information, I don't care how legitimate it seems, you should assume it is a fraudulent transaction. In this case with the resident that lost her assets, what happened was she took a phone call and the phone call said, hi, ma'am, this is your credit card company. Did you make 3 transactions in North Carolina? $800, $900, $1,000. And she said, no. So she's excited because the credit card company, caught the fraud. She said no. And so they connected her to the fraud department. So the resident continues on the phone call thinking, gosh, I'm doing the right thing. I'm protecting my credit card. They've got this, they're going to shut this fraud down. So she gets on the phone with the fraud department at the credit card company that called her, and they tell her, in order for us to stop this fraud, stop these fraudulent transactions, we need to log into your computer. And she did it. She let them log into her computer. And she admits she felt that this was a trustworthy transaction. And this is somebody that's bright. This isn't somebody that, has questionable decision making. This is someone that thought that she was, savvy. We all think we're savvy. The scammers are far more sophisticated than any of us. Every single one of us has to assume that incoming communication, whether it be in the mail, email especially, texts, and most importantly, the phone, we should look at those like they are potentially fraudulent. We've gotten to the point in my house that we do not answer the phone. I just don't answer the phone. The house phone never gets answered unless it's my mother calling, and I can confirm that definitively through the caller ID. You should not answer the phone unless you know exactly who it is. Because as soon as you get on that phone call, there is any myriad number of ways that a scammer can take advantage of you. They may ask you just to confirm that it's your name. And then with that confirmation, they may be able to facilitate some kind of a fraudulent transfer of your assets. They may engage you in a conversation. For example, some of the newest scams that are coming out are all related to COVID. So the scammers have identified, you know what? We have an opportunity here. We've got millions of people that are trying to get access to vaccines and they can't. So what they're doing is they're calling you because your name and your phone number and your age demographic is in a file somewhere. And they're getting you on the phone and they are saying, Hi, I'm calling from such and such health agency, and we've got an opportunity for you to get onto a vaccination list. And in order to do so, and in order to secure your spot on this list, we just need your credit card information. Now, all of you have been vaccinated or you've had access to it, so that is not going to drive you. But if you are desperate for a vaccine and you know that you've put your name on waiting lists and other things, and somebody calls you and said, we've got a spot for you, we just need to hold it with your credit card number, I bet you might think about doing it. And I bet you wouldn't realize initially that it was a fraudulent transaction or an attempt at that. We're also seeing a huge uptick in the number of phone calls and emails and text messages being received by residents, asking residents to confirm their social security number, their date of birth, or other personal information in order to secure their stimulus check. That is fraudulent. You do not need to do anything online to secure your stimulus check. No one is calling you for information to confirm the information for your stimulus check. As soon as you provide to someone on the phone your social security number, your credit card information, your date of birth, you should assume that it is going to be used to steal your assets. You should assume that it is being used to steal your assets, period. I am sorry to have to say it in these terms, but we can only protect you so far. You have to take it from here. No reputable organization will ever ask you ever to send gift cards anywhere to then turn those into a bigger prize. That is a scam. No reputable organization anywhere will tell you that in order to catch fraudsters, you have to send bait money to India. And that's what happened in the case of your neighbor. Once she got onto the fraudulent fraud department phone line, they said to her, our next step is we need you to send bait money to New Delhi, India, which is where the fraudsters are, so that we can catch them and you will get your $400,000 back. So she sent the money. And that money is now all gone. All of the assets that underlied her investment accounts have been sold. And in an even more awful turn of fate, this resident has now incurred a substantial tax liability for capital gains because fraudsters hacked her accounts, legitimately sold her assets, stocks, bonds, etc., on the market. $150,000 worth of capital gains were earned on those assets. And now not only does she not have the assets anymore because they were sold by fraudsters, but she has the tax liability on the $150,000 worth of capital gains. This is an endless risk. It is substantial. You have heard me talk about the fact that you may very well get a text or an email from someone claiming to be your grandson. And your grandson says, Graham, I'm in Phoenix. Don't tell mom and dad, but I'm in trouble and I need money. And this tugs at your heartstrings. You feel empathy for this. And you go to the bank and you take out money and you get ready to send it in an envelope. And then at some point, I hope you say, oh my gosh, I better confirm this. Let me call my grandson. Next time when you get a call from your grandson asking you for money or an email, even if it's a phone call, these fraudsters are replicating voices. This could come in on your phone and this could sound like your grandson. Before you send a penny, hang up the phone. Start a new phone call to your grandson. Call the number that you have on file for your grandson and say, hi, grandson. I just got this message from you and it's asking me for money. Did you send it? 99% of the time, the grandson is going to say, no, Graham, you're getting scammed. 99% of the time, the grandson is going to say, no, Graham, you're getting scammed. 99% of the time, the grandson is going to say, no, Graham, you're getting scammed. 99% of the time, the grandson is going to say, no, Graham, you're getting scammed. 99% of the time, the grandson is going to say, no, Graham, you're getting scammed. 99% of the time, the grandson is going to say, no, Graham, you're getting scammed. 99% of the time, the grandson is going to say, no, Graham, you're getting scammed. 99% of the time, the grandson is going to say, no, Graham, you're getting scammed. 99% of the time, the grandson is going to say, no, Graham, you're getting scammed. 99% of the time, the grandson is going to say, no, Graham, you're getting scammed. 99% of the time, the grandson is going to say, no, Graham, you're getting scammed. 99% of the time, the grandson is going to say, no, Graham, you're getting scammed. 99% of the time, the grandson is going to say, no, Gr No one ever wants to say that we have to go through this journey on earth without trusting people. But as safe and as sound as we are here physically at Woodland Pond, we are all subject to becoming victim to fraud. Every single one of us. You should never click on any link in any email. You should never assume that if you get an email from me that says, "Dear resident, my father-in-law's funeral has come and we need money for it. Can you please send me some money?" These fraudsters are so sophisticated that they could easily make that communication happen. They could look on my social media page or on an obituary that's online and realize, okay, Michelle's father-in-law died. Here's when the arrangements are going to be. Here's the information. Here's his name. Michelle's publicly available email address is this, and we can mask that and use it for setting up a new email. They can access emails that I've sent to you and pretend they're me, use a real life circumstance that I'm dealing with, and ask you for money. If you ever get a request from me for a task or for money or from your daughter or from your long lost friend, do not do anything until you have actually spoken to me or your daughter or your long lost friend. You have to go through life now, unfortunately, with skepticism. We all do. We have to take a step back and take a breath. These scams are literally everywhere. When I was preparing for this presentation today, I asked our staff to give me examples of the fraud experiences that they've had personally or someone that they know have had. One of the ones absolutely shocked me. We have a staff member here whose son had a hospitalization, and the son began to receive bills. Excuse me. And the bills were from, this pulmonologist at the hospital, or this cardiologist at the hospital, or this radiology technician. And the bills amounted to, different payers, different payees, things like that, several $1,000s. And the son, thought, yeah, I was in the hospital. These are the dates that I was there. Yes, I had this test. I guess I'm liable for this. I guess my insurance is not going to cover it. Well, guess what? Those bills were created in a warehouse somewhere, in somebody's basement, with sophisticated printing technology, because his electronic medical record got hacked in the hospital. His contact information was readily available. His address was available. So these hackers sent him what looks like a real hospital bill. And if he was to remit it to the PO box that's listed on there, hackers and scammers would have gotten funds from him. And worse yet, if he had sent a check, they would have his banking account information, which they could easily hack and steal the money from. And even worse than that, if he had put his credit card information down or called to pay with a credit card, called the number on that bill to pay with a credit card, they would have had everything that they needed to completely wipe him out. These are coming in a million forms. We at Woodland Pond are here to protect you. I want to give you my personal commitment and invitation that if you ever have anything that comes across that seems like iffy, I want you to come to me. I have an open door for this. Christy Battistoni, our Director of Finance, has an open door. You can call the concierge. You can call Sarah Hull. You should and can call your kids. Ask any of us. We want to help. We cannot have this conversation again. We can't have a resident that has lost everything in tears, not knowing what her life is going to be now because of these atrocious, ferocious, and aggressive fraudsters. We have to protect ourselves. Please go into every transaction that you're doing online, phone call, text message, with skepticism. Please only trust the transactions and the information that you initiate. Please call us for help. And please send a thought of intention and support to your neighbor, because now she's wiped out. Please think about what you can do right now to protect yourself and every day. And we will continue to support and educate and provide resources. I'm here all day in my office if you'd like to talk. And we will do this as best we can together.